Welcome to Ms. Parb's Flipped Classroom. Today we're going to be talking about the standard form of a quadratic function, and the objective at the end of this lesson is to be able to graph a quadratic function when it's written in standard form. The first way we're going to talk about graphing this is using the graphing calculator. So you would go to the y equals button and enter 2x squared plus 8x, minus 2, and graph that function. And then use the graph, trace, calculate, and table buttons to find the vertex. And when you do that, you find that the vertex for this equation is -2, -10, and that the graph opens up. So you know from the vertex, you know that the axis of symmetry is x equals -2. Because it opens up, you know we have a minimum, and the minimum is -10. And because it opens up, that means our range will start down here at -10 and go to positive infinity. So the range is y is bigger than or equal to a -10. In a previous lesson, we learned how to graph vertex form. The vertex form of the equation is nice because it tells you the vertex, and it makes it really easy to graph by hand. The standard form is nice because it has to be in standard form to put it in the calculator and then let the calculator do the work for you. Okay, properties of quadratic functions in standard form. You need to make sure that you know these. The graph will be a parabola, which is our U shape that opens up or down. If a is greater than 0, meaning if a is positive, the parabola will open up. If a is less than 0, meaning a is negative, the parabola will open down. The axis of symmetry is x equals -b over 2a. This is extremely important. And the vertex is -b over 2a, and then f of -b over 2a. And your y-intercept will be the point 0, C. Okay, so let's look at an example where we're going to graph this by hand using the information that we just talked about. So we have the equation y equals x squared plus 2x plus 3. The first thing we need to do, these are the steps we need to follow. This is where I did the steps. So the first thing we need to do is identify a, b, and c. A is a coefficient of x squared, so it's 1. B is a coefficient of x, so it's 2. And c is the constant, or the number by itself, so it's 3. A, B, C. Then we're going to calculate x, and I told you that x was equal to a -b over 2a, so we have a negative. In place of b, we put 2. The 2 is from the formula. And in place of a, we put 1. When you do this calculation, you get that x is -1. We're going to calculate y now, which is f of -b over 2a, which simply means, now that we know what x is, we're going to go back and we're going to plug that in to that equation for x. So here's the equation. I rewrote it. In place of x, I put -1 in both places. -1 squared is 1. 2 times -1 is a -2 plus 3. If you do the arithmetic, you get y equals 2. So we know that the vertex is the point -1, 2. We said that c was 3, so the y-intercept will be 0, 3, will be that point. And then the next thing we're going to do is graph the vertex, the axis of symmetry, the y-intercept, a reflected point, and then draw the curve. So first of all, the vertex is -1, 2. So here's the vertex. Here's our y-intercept of 0, 3. Our axis of symmetry, we know, goes through the vertex. So here's our axis of symmetry through the vertex. And if we go one place to the right of the vertex, we notice that that point is 3 units up. So that means if we go one place to the left of the vertex, we would also go up 3 units. So if the y-intercept is 0, 3, then the reflected point for that would be -2, 3. We just reflected that point across the axis of symmetry. Okay, and then we drew the curve, and the curve opens up, which is what we expected because a was positive. So now you try this one. Y equals a -2x squared plus 2x minus 5. So pause the video, go through these steps, and then start the video again to see the answer. And the answer to the problem that you just attempted is that x is equal to 1/2, y is equal to a negative 4.5, so the vertex is the point 1/2, negative 4.5. We know that the axis of symmetry is x equals 1/2. We know that the y-intercept is the point 0, negative 5, because c was negative 5. The reflected point is 1, negative 5, and since we had a negative a, we know that it opens down. So when you plot all of those points and draw your curve, you have the graph like this, it opens down. Okay, the last thing we're going to look at is converting standard form, which is what we've been talking about tonight, to vertex form, which is what we've talked about in the past. Okay, it's helpful to know that h, which is the x of your vertex, is equal to negative b over 2a. And k, which is the y of your vertex, is f of negative b over 2a. And then a is just going to be a. So here's the steps that you need to follow. Identify a, b, and c. Find the x of your vertex, which is your h. Find the y of your vertex, which is your k. Substitute a, h, and k into the vertex form, and then simplify if necessary. So here's our example. We have y equals 2x squared plus 10x plus 7. A is 2, b is 10, and c is 7. And here we wrote them down so we wouldn't forget. In place of b, we put 10, so we have a negative 10 divided by 2 times 2, which gives us a negative 2.5. This is the h of our vertex. We take this negative 2.5 and put it in place of the x from our equation up here. Just plug this into the calculator, being careful with your parentheses so that you don't make a mistake. And we get that k is a negative 5.5, which is the y-coordinate of the vertex. We identified before that a is 2, so we just wrote that down again to remind us. And so now we're going to plug in a, h, and k into our vertex form. So we have y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So that our a is 2, our h was a negative 2.5, our k was a negative 5.5. When you subtract a negative, that's the same as adding. And when you're adding a negative, you can replace that with a subtraction sign. So this is simplified because we don't have the double, the net minus a negative and the plus a negative. And that is vertex form. Your vertex is negative 2.5, negative 5.5. Okay, the got it. What is the vertex form of y equals a negative x squared plus 4x minus 5? Go through these steps for this problem and determine what the vertex form is. So pause the video and try that now. And your answer should be negative the quantity x minus 2 squared minus 1. This is vertex form for this problem.